Hey guys, it's Grand Admiral Thrawn, and today I am ranking all the Autobots across the 5 Michael Bay films. In number 34, dang it. In number 34, I have the RC twins. These three are a terrible representation of RC, a character from the original 80s show Transformers Prime, and both of those shows get it right. It's just these. In Revenge of the Fallen, RC is handled terribly in that she is actually three, or she's not actually, and she's just one, and it's confusing, and so RC is in dead last, unfortunately. Number 33, I have Trench. Trench is in The Last Night for less than a minute. And that's all he is in for as far as all these movies go. He untransforms to help Hound fight off the Decepticons, and then he dies off screen. Number 32, I have the Guardian Knights. These knights aren't used that much in The Last Night either. They are in it for a battle against Optimus, but other than that, they don't really do much. They form that dragon, but then even the dragon gets shot down during the final battle, so they aren't used that much, and so they're very low on the list. Number 31, the baby Dinobots. I thought these were just product placement, but then they don't actually even have any product placement of them. So they're like product placement, but not product placement. So I guess they are actually characters. But yeah, they don't do much. They're just kind of there for product placement, but then they don't even have that much of it off of them. So there they are. Number 30, I have Talisman Knight. He's higher than the other Guardian Knights, and he's actually his own character because he's named A, and B, he has a sad death. Well, it's not exactly sad, it's just that he's bleeding out after he crash landed on Earth, and he's just trying to help Earth, so it's kind of sad in that sort of way. So he's got a bit of a character, so he earned 30. Number 29, I have Q. I would have actually liked Q if he was his own character and not just Wheeljack. That's right. This is how they represented Wheeljack for these films. Wheeljack is a fun character who has fun when he in his job, does stuff that he feels like, but instead in these movies he's represented like Q from James Bond, but an old Albert Einstein lookalike. So yeah, Q, if he was his own character, I'd have been fine with him, but it's the fact that they made him Wheeljack that I don't like him. Number 28, I have Scorn. I don't even know if that's actually his name or not, but he's the spiky one of the Dinobots. Number 27, I have Strafe, a two-headed, pterodactyl, who Bumblebee rides in Age of Extinction. Strafe is better than Scorn in that we actually see him in the battle, so that's why I have him in 27th. Most of the Dinobots are not that high on the list. Number 26, I have Jolt. All Jolt really does is that one scene where he gives Optimus Jetfire's parts. Other than that, Jolt could be cut out of all of the movies and you wouldn't know any different. 25, Dino. Dino is a Ferrari, and that's basically all there is to him. If you cut him from the movies, would make absolutely no difference because that's what they did after Dark of the Moon. They just cut him from the movies. It was like he never existed. Number 24, I have Cogman. Cogman has some funny moments, yes, but he's introduced in The Last Night, and so that's the last movie, so we don't really get to see much of him. So he's pretty low on the list. Number 23, I have Slug, the one of two Dinobots who returned from Age of Extinction in The Last Night. And Slug is a Triceratops, so we get to actually see him do some cool damage in the battles, and they actually show Slug in action, which they never actually showed Scorn. He's the one that they didn't show them any of in action scenes. So Slug, we do see action scenes of him, and that's something I like. Number 22, I have Canopy. And Canopy is only here because of his death being so sad, in that he's an Autobot who is trying to help these kids get out of a dangerous zone, and the military fires on him. And he's bleeding out in front of the one girl who he is trying to help. That is why he is here, because he has a sad death. And I think the weirdest thing about The Last Knight isn't the plot or anything. It's that the military takes Decepticons prisoner. Okay? But the Autobots, no, we're just going to fire on them with missiles at first sight. But Decepticons who have broken in and murdered people, yeah, we arrest them. That's what made the least sense in my mind about the movie. Anyway, yeah, Canopy has a sad death, and that's what earned him 22nd. 21st place, I have Squeaks. Squeaks was product placement that you actually would see toys for in stores. And Squeaks also has one moment that actually makes him not just product placement, and that's when the Decepticon arm that Izzy gave him, he uses that and blows up that giant thing that none of the other Autobots could because he's small, so they didn't see him coming. So yeah, Squeaks earned 21st. Mainly, a lot of these characters are underused, though, so Squeaks being in 21st could be weird. Okay, number 20, Roadbuster. He's the he is the hardest to remember out of all the wreckers, in that he just doesn't do much, whereas Topspin says all the funny stuff, and then Leadfoot's the one they actually say the name of in the movies. But then Roadbuster here, they just never say anything. But he's carried in that he is a wrecker, and he's one of the three who are funny. They rip people apart, they talk, they yell a lot. They're funny, so the wreckers are higher on the list. And Roadbuster is carried because he is a wrecker. Number 19, I have Day Trader. Whether it be that he's voiced by Steve Buscemi or that he was actually funny in the movie, he earned 19th. Day Trader is actually a useful role in that he gets Cade and the other Autobots parts and stuff. I don't know how he got Starscream's head, though. That's a question we're probably never going to get an answer for. But, oh well. He was worth it in the few minutes he's in. Number 18, I have Jazz. Jazz never actually spoke out to me. A bunch of people are like, Jazz has such a sad death. No, he has a very painful death, I'll give you that, because he gets ripped in half. But in the original draft, Megatron was even going to eat his spark when he killed Jazz, so that was dark. But yeah, Jazz never really I never got attached to him. He just dies in the first movie to show that an Autobot can be killed, which he does a good job of, showing us that there are stakes with the Autobots, but I never was attached to Jazz, so he's in 18th. Number 17, I have Hot Rod. Hot Rod, unlike Jazz, actually has a bit of personality, and he has the French accent that he says he makes up the accent. No, I am stuck with the accent, and I hate it. So yeah, Hot Rod actually has some comedic scenes too, and Hot Rod earned 17 because he actually has attachment, unlike Jazz, and so yeah, 17. Number 16, Brains. I never got attached to Brains either because he's just introduced in Dark of the Moon. Unlike Wheelie, who we did get introduced to in Revenge of the Fallen, Brains just shows up in Dark of the Moon and Age of Extinction, and they just introduce him. We never really learn anything about him or why he's here or anything really. He's just there and is supposed to be like Wheelie, but he just feels like Wheelie's sidekick who shows up out of nowhere. Leadfoot, number 15. Leadfoot, like I said, is the wrecker who we actually hear the voice of. The name of. Leadfoot, they actually say his name, and they show him die in Age of Extinction, so Leadfoot has a bit more character than some of the others, plus he's a wrecker, so he's getting in the 15th place. Number 14, I have Mudflap. A bunch of people don't like Skids or Mudflap because they find them racist. They aren't meant to be racist, they just talk funny because they're idiots. That's what they are. And Mudflap, unlike Skids, actually has funny stuff. Mudflap, he mostly just is replying to something Skids said, and that's why he earned 14th. Although I do like, I'm gonna bust yo face up. Okay, number 13, I have Topspin. And he may be the wrecker that survives, but that's not the only reason why I have him here. It's because I rewatched them, Dark of the Moon, and it's Topspin who says all that funny stuff. I mean, he, like when they're ripping the one Decepticon apart, he goes, "This is going to hurt a lot," when he rips the guy in half. So it's Topspin who says the funny stuff, and that's why Topspin earned 13th. Number 12, Sideswipe. I like Sideswipe with his "damn, I'm good." They give him a good introduction and an entrance, and then he's barely in the movies, and they just, like with what happened to Dino, they don't give him any explanation after his disappearance. And with Sideswipe, though, he was in Revenge of the Fallen, and he helps Ironhide in Dark of the Moon, and so Sideswipe has more of a character than Dino did, so I actually felt a little bummed when they just get rid of him with no explanation. Number 11, Skids. Skids is funny in Revenge of the Fallen, and Tom Kenny is a legendary voice actor for SpongeBob, and a bunch of people try to forget that he voiced Skids, but I don't. Skids was a good role, and he's funny. Number 10, Grimlock, the only Dinobot who actually made it high on the list. Grimlock is actually high on the list because he's the main Dinobot, and he does a bunch of cool stuff. So out of them all, I feel like he's the only one who actually has more than 5 minutes of screen time, though. And they do make him a legendary warrior in Age of Extinction, but then in The Last Night, they just turn him into a junkyard dog, practically. He doesn't go into robot form, so I wish we could have, like, maybe it's that he's in Dino form too much, and he acts like a dog now. That still would have been cool. All right, number 9, Crosshairs. Crosshairs is funny in that he is, he doesn't like anybody else. When he kills those guys that are working for Lockdown, how he goes, "This one's for you, a-holes," and he throws, well, not how he destroys them. That was cool. And he's just, like, sarcastic and whatnot, and it makes him a likable character, and that he's funny. Number 8, Wheelie. Wheelie is a very comedic character who is also voiced by Tom Kenny. But with Wheelie's a main character who doesn't just disappear after Revenge of the Fallen. He reappears in Dark of the Moon and in The Last Night, and Wheelie is a good character who is likable and funny. Number 7, I have Drift. Drift is a samurai robot. What else could you ask for? He also turns into a helicopter. He's like the only Autobot, with the exception of Jetfire, who can fly. And Jetfire's a former Decepticon. Why is it Drift's the only Autobot who flies? Number 6, I have Ratchet. And I wish Ratchet could have made 5th, because I feel like Ratchet is the most underrated Autobot out of them all. He's the one who fixes Bumblebee's legs in the first movie. He's the one who fixes up Optimus after the final battle of Revenge of the Fallen. He's the one who fixes up Optimus after Dark of the Moon. Ratchet's the medic, and he gets nothing. He's just treated like an average Autobot, every other one, and just gets thrown aside. Although Ratchet's death is a very sad one that I actually feel for. And so, yeah, I wish Ratchet could have made higher than 6th, but he made 6th. Number 5, I have Hound, and Hound is only actually above Ratchet because Hound is John Goodman, A, and he's very funny too, so Hound had to earn higher. Also, in Age of Extinction, if not for Hound, they definitely would have gotten the seed because Hound used up all of his ammo, and that means he's got a lot of ammo. So yeah, Hound earned a high spot and definitely, I think, earned number 5. Number 4, I have Ironhide. Ironhide is one of the original members who crash land on Earth. He is the weapons specialist. He quotes movies, feeling lucky punk, and his death is very sad, and it gets me every time of how he was betrayed and then shot in the back with a rust cannon. So that had to have been a painful death too for such a good character. But I honestly feel like there was no other way to kill off Ironhide apart from in battle. But even then, that's pretty hard because it's Ironhide. He's not going down without a fight. And yeah, Ironhide was a great character who earned number 4. Number 3, I have Jetfire. Behold the eternal glory of Jetfire. Jetfire is hilarious in that he's like the I'm too old for this crap kind of character. He's too old for all this, and he's still in the action. And something I did not know until recently, he is 50 feet tall. That's taller than Megatron. Although with the type of jet he turns into, you would need to be tall. It's just Jetfire is very funny in that he's this too old for all this stuff kind of character. And he actually earned higher on the list because he gets a kind of character thing where he's a former Decepticon who turned Autobot. And I liked that about him. Although Wheelie gets the same, but still, Jetfire. He earned this place. Number 2, I have Optimus Prime. This one might get controversial, but you know who number 1 is then if you're watching this, if you've already made it this far. Optimus is great in all the 5 movies, although he is underused in The Last Knight. He starts out in the first movie as the second main Autobot. Then by Revenge of the Fallen, I feel like he may have been tied with Bumblebee. Dark of the Moon, he's definitely the main Autobot. Age of Extinction, still the main one. And then in The Last Knight, they kind of just cut him down to 10 minutes of screen time, which I didn't like. But yeah, Optimus is amazing in the action scenes. And the people who say he's nothing but a murderer in these movies are wrong. In the first movie, he kills Bone Crusher, a Decepticon who went out of his way to kill humans, okay? That's one death. That's one kill. In Revenge of the Fallen, he kills the Decepticon who is rampaging through Shanghai City. So, yes, that one's justified. I don't think the one in the forest was actually justified, apart from that guy trying to get Sam. That's about it. But then the Fallen is definitely justified in that the Fallen is trying to destroy our sun. Yeah, I think that one's justified. Plus, he murdered all the Primes, his brothers, and then he had Megatron kill Optimus. So, yeah, the Fallen was a justified kill. So Optimus is not just a murderer in these movies. Most of his kills are justified. In Age of Extinction, he kills a human who's going to kill his friend. And he literally states that, I have sworn off killing humans, but when I find this one, he's going to die. Because that human's been in charge of why the humans are hunting the Autobots now. In short, Optimus is not just a murderer in these films. He's a great character and the second best Autobot in my mind. But number 1 goes to Bumblebee. Bumblebee is the main character in the first movie. He is the shared main Autobot in the second movie. He's definitely a main Autobot in the rest of them, but not as much. I think he is the main Autobot in The Last Knight, though. And he's the one who guards Sam and started it all. He's the first Autobot we see on screen, and Bumblebee is likable enough to get his own movie that they then turn into a reboot of the franchise off of Bumblebee because he's that likable. And yeah, Bumblebee's voice box was a smart move for these movies because it made this version unique, except then Transformers Prime took it, and then so did the Bumblebee reboot take it, but still, Bumblebee is funny in his movies in Age of Extinction when he hears them say, Stinger like Bumblebee, but better in every way. How he gets angry. His radio clips are always funny and they show his personality. And Bumblebee is just a likable character in that he's kind of immature like a child. But yeah, he's likable and he's the main Autobot overall, I think, apart from Optimus. And yeah. So anyway, this is Grand Admiral Thrawn signing off, and this is my ranking of all the Autobots in the Bayverse movies. If you enjoyed, leave a like. And also check out my channel because I have several other Autobot videos if you enjoyed this one. This is Grand Admiral Thrawn signing off.